The list of all the United States presidents. Number 1. George Washington. George Washington was a founding father and the first president of the United States, serving from 1789 to 1797. He not only served as the first president of the United States, but he also commanded the Continental Army during the American Revolution from 1775 to 1783, and presided over the convention that drafted the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Capitol is named after Washington, as are many schools, parks, and cities. Today his face appears on the U.S. dollar bill and the quarter. Number 2. John Adams. John Adams was a founding father and the second president of the United States from 1797 to 1801. He was an advocate of American independence from Britain, a major figure in the Continental Congress from 1774 to 1777, the author of the Massachusetts Constitution in 1780, a signer of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, ambassador to the Court of St. James from 1785 to 1788, and the first vice president from 1789 to 1797 of the United States. Number 3. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was an American founding father who served as the third president of the United States from 1801 to 1809. He is remembered for being the primary writer of the Declaration of Independence and the third president of the United States. The fact that he owned over 600 enslaved people during his life while forcefully advocating for human freedom and equality made Jefferson one of America's most problematic and paradoxical heroes. Number 4. James Madison. James Madison was an American statesman, diplomat, and founding father who served as the fourth president of the United States from 1809 to 1817. He is most remembered as the father of the Constitution for his pivotal role in drafting and promoting the U.S. Constitution. He is also known for his contributions to the Bill of Rights and for serving as the fourth U.S. president. Additionally, he played a key role in the War of 1812, signing the declaration of war against Great Britain. Number 5. James Monroe. James Monroe was an American founding father who served as the fifth president of the United States from 1817 to 1825. He was the last founding father to serve as president as well as the last president of the Virginia dynasty. Number 6. John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams was the sixth president of the United States, serving from 1825 to 1829. He previously served as the 8th United States Secretary of State, from 1817 to 1825. In his presidential years he was one of America's greatest diplomats, formulating, among other things, what came to be called the Monroe Doctrine. And in his post-presidential years, as a U.S. congressman, from 1831 to 1848, he fought against the expansion of slavery. Number 7. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was the seventh president of the United States from 1829 to 1837. During the War of 1812, Andrew Jackson, as the leader of the Tennessee militia, decisively defeated Creek fighters who were allied with the British. His defeat of the British in the Battle of New Orleans in 1815 cemented his reputation as a war hero among Americans. In 1817 to 1818, during the First Seminole War, he led U.S. forces in attacks on Seminole villages and took control of Spanish posts that hastened the acquisition of Florida by the United States. Number 8. Martin Van Buren. Martin Van Buren was the 8th President of the United States, serving from 1837 to 1841, and one of the founders of the Democratic Party. Martin Van Buren's presidency was largely defined by his handling of the Panic of 1837. He also oversaw the establishment of the Independent Treasury, a system for storing federal funds, and faced challenges with the Second Seminole War and the issue of Texas annexation. Number 9. William Henry Harrison. William Henry Harrison was the 9th President of the United States, serving from March 4 to April 4, 1841. The shortest presidency in U.S. history at only 32 days. He is also remembered for his military career, particularly his victory at the Battle of Tippecanoe against Native American forces, which earned him the nickname Old Tip. Number 10. John Tyler. John Tyler was the 10th President of the United States, serving from 1841 to 1845. After briefly holding office as the 10th Vice President in 1841, Tyler was a believer in manifest destiny, and saw the annexation of Texas as economically and internationally advantageous to the United States, signing a bill to offer Texas statehood just before leaving office. When the American Civil War began in 1861, Tyler at first supported the peace conference. Number 11. James Knox Polk. James Knox Polk was the 11th President of the United States, serving from 1845 to 1849. A protege of Andrew Jackson, and a member of the Democratic Party, he was an advocate of Jacksonian democracy and extending the territory of the United States. Number 12. Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor was the 12th President of the United States, serving from 1849 until his death in 1850. He is primarily known for his role as a military hero in the Mexican-American War, particularly for his victories at Monterrey and Buena Vista. He was elected president as a result of this popularity, serving a brief term before his death in 1850. His presidency was largely defined by his handling of the issue of slavery in the territories acquired from Mexico. Number 13. Millard Fillmore. Millard Fillmore was the 13th President of the United States, serving from 1850 to 1853. He is primarily known for being the last president of the Whig Party, and for his role in the passage of the Compromise of 1850. This compromise aimed to resolve tensions over slavery and the expansion of territories acquired in the Mexican-American War. Fillmore also played a role in initiating a trade mission to Japan, which ultimately opened the country to trade with the West. Number 14. Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce was the 14th President of the United States, serving from 1853 to 1857. He is primarily remembered for his role in the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which ultimately contributed to increased tensions and violence over slavery, paving the way for the Civil War. While not the author of the act, Pierce supported and championed its passage, which was seen by many in the North as a betrayal of the Missouri Compromise. Number 15. James Buchanan. James Buchanan was the 15th President of the United States from 1857 to 1861. A moderate Democrat well endowed with legal knowledge and experience in government, he lacked the soundness of judgment and conciliatory personality to deal effectively with the slavery crisis, and failed to avert the American Civil War. Number 16. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States, serving from 1861 until his assassination in 1865. Abraham Lincoln is famous for his leadership during the American Civil War, his role in abolishing slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation, and his efforts to preserve the Union. He is often regarded as one of America's greatest presidents, known for his eloquence, his moral compass, and his ability to guide the nation through a period of immense crisis. Number 17. Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was the 17th President of the United States, serving from 1865 to 1869. He assumed the presidency following the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, as he was vice president at that time. Andrew Johnson was known for his lenient Reconstruction policies in the South after the Civil War, his clashes with the radical Republicans in Congress, and his impeachment, though he was acquitted. He became president after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, and took a moderate approach to restoring the Southern states to the Union. Number 18. Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant was the 18th President of the United States, serving from 1869 to 1877. He is most famous for leading the Union Army to victory in the American Civil War. He achieved this by commanding the Union forces, ultimately leading to the defeat of the Confederacy. He later served as the 18th President of the United States. Number 19. Rutherford Burkard Hayes. Rutherford Burkard Hayes was the 19th President of the United States, serving from 1877 to 1881, who brought post-Civil War Reconstruction to an end in the South, and who tried to establish new standards of official integrity. After 8 years of corruption in Washington, D.C., he was the only president to hold office by decision of an extraordinary commission of congressmen and Supreme Court justices appointed to rule on contested electoral ballots. Number 20. James Abram Garfield. James Abram Garfield was the 20th President of the United States, serving from March 18, 1881, until his death in September that year after being shot 2 months earlier. James Abram Garfield advocated for agricultural technology, an educated electorate, and civil rights for African Americans. He also proposed substantial civil service reforms, which were passed by Congress in 1883 as the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act, and signed into law by his successor, Chester Alan Arthur. Number 21. Chester Alan Arthur. Chester Alan Arthur was the 21st President of the United States, serving from 1881 to 1885. He was a Republican from New York, who previously served as the 20th Vice President under President James Abram Garfield. He is best known for his unexpected rise to the presidency after the assassination of James Abram Garfield, and for his support of civil service reform, particularly the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act. He also signed the first general federal immigration law and approved legislation excluding certain groups from immigration. Number 22. Stephen Grover Cleveland. Stephen Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th President of the United States, serving from 1885 to 1889 and from 1893 to 1897. He was the first Democrat to get elected to the presidency after the Civil War, and the first U.S. president to serve non-consecutive terms. Grover Cleveland, as a politician and president, was known for his focus on political reform and fiscal conservatism, leading to several notable accomplishments. During his first presidency, Cleveland signed the Interstate Commerce Act of 1887, which made the railroad industry the first industry subject to federal regulation by a regulatory body, and the Dawes Act, which subdivided Native American tribal communal landholdings into individual allotments. Number 23. Benjamin Harrison. Benjamin Harrison was the 23rd President of the United States, serving from 1889 to 1893. He was known for his ambitious domestic agenda as president, including the McKinley Tariff, the Sherman Antitrust Act, and the creation of national forests. He also oversaw the addition of 6 new states to the Union, the largest number added during a single presidency. His administration also saw the first time federal spending reached $1 billion, largely due to revenue from tariffs. Number 24. Stephen Grover Cleveland. Stephen Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th President of the United States, serving from 1885 to 1889 and from 1893 to 1897. Number 25. William McKinley. William McKinley was the 25th President of the United States, serving from 1897 until his assassination in 1901. A member of the Republican Party, he led a realignment that made Republicans largely dominant in the industrial states and nationwide for decades. William McKinley successfully led the U.S. in the Spanish-American War, and oversaw a period of American expansionism with the annexations of Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines, and American Samoa. Number 26. Theodore Roosevelt Jr. Theodore Roosevelt Jr., also known as Teddy, was the 26th President of the United States, serving from 1901 to 1909. Theodore Roosevelt previously was involved in New York politics, including serving as the state's 33rd governor for 2 years. Theodore Roosevelt was known for his Square Deal, domestic policies, which focused on conservation, regulating corporations, and consumer protection. He was also a key figure in the Progressive Era, advocating for these reforms. In foreign policy, he's remembered for his role in mediating the Russo-Japanese War, which earned him the 1906 Nobel Peace Prize, and his efforts to construct the Panama Canal. He is also associated with expanding the U.S. Navy and the Great White Fleet. Number 27. William Howard Taft. William Howard Taft served as the 27th President of the United States from 1909 to 1913, and the 10th Chief Justice of the United States from 1921 to 1930. He is the only person to have held both offices. William Howard Taft, while president, pursued a policy of dollar diplomacy in foreign affairs, aimed at expanding American influence and investment abroad. He also sought greater regulation of railroads, proposing the creation of a United States Commerce Court to oversee appeals from the Interstate Commerce Commission. Number 28. Thomas Woodrow Wilson. Thomas Woodrow Wilson was an American politician and academic who served as the 28th President of the United States from 1913 to 1921. A member of the Democratic Party, Wilson served as the president of Princeton University and as the governor of New Jersey before winning the 1912 presidential election. He is most famously known for his leading role in the creation of the League of Nations after World War I. His policy of Wilsonianism in foreign affairs, and his 14 points. Wilson also led the U.S. into World War I and oversaw significant changes in the nation's economic policies during the Progressive Era. Number 29. Warren Gamaliel Harding. Warren Gamaliel Harding was the 29th President of the United States, serving from 1921 until his death in 1923. A member of the Republican Party, he was one of the most popular sitting U.S. presidents while in office. Warren Gamaliel Harding's major accomplishments as president include the Washington Naval Conference, which resulted in a naval disarmament agreement among major powers, and the creation of the Veterans Bureau. He also promoted new technologies like radio and aviation, and signed bills addressing the farm crisis. Number 30. Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge was the 30th President of the United States, serving from 1923 to 1929. A Republican lawyer from Massachusetts, he previously served as the 29th Vice President from 1921 to 1923 under President Warren Gamaliel Harding, and as the 48th Governor of Massachusetts from 1919 to 1921. He was known for his conservative policies, particularly his hands-off approach to government and his pro-business stance. He was admired for his support of racial equality during a time of racial tension, and his focus on reducing the national debt through restrained government spending. However, his critics argue he failed to address the needs of struggling farmers and workers during the economic boom, and his presidency is sometimes linked to the onset of the Great Depression. Number 31. Herbert Clark Hoover. Herbert Clark Hoover was the 31st President of the United States, serving from 1929 to 1933. Herbert Hoover was known for his work in relief efforts, particularly during World War I and after. He led the Commission for Relief in Belgium and the U.S. Food Administration, becoming known as the Food Dictator. He also headed the American Relief Administration, providing food to starving populations in Central and Eastern Europe. He is also remembered for his presidency during the Great Depression, though his responses to the crisis were often criticized. Number 32. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, also known as FDR, was the 32nd President of the United States, serving from 1933 until his death in 1945. He is the longest-serving U.S. president, and the only one to have served more than 2 terms. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is most known for leading the United States through the Great Depression and World War II, implementing the New Deal, and being the longest-serving U.S. president. Number 33. Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman was the 33rd President of the United States, serving from 1945 to 1953. He is widely recognized for several key achievements during his presidency, including ending World War II. overseeing the development of the Cold War and initiating the Fair Deal. He also led the creation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO, and the Central Intelligence Agency or CIA. Number 34. Dwight David Eisenhower. Dwight David Eisenhower was the 34th President of the United States, serving from 1953 to 1961. During World War II, he was Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force in Europe and achieved the 5-star rank as General of the Army. Dwight David Eisenhower is primarily famous for his role as a highly successful military leader during World War II, particularly as Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force in Europe. He's also known for being the 34th President of the United States, serving from 1953 to 1961. His presidency is often remembered for managing the Cold War, and for his warning about the military-industrial complex in his farewell address. Number 35. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, also known as JFK, was the 35th President of the United States, serving from 1961 until his assassination in 1963. John F. Kennedy is renowned for his youthful idealism, his leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and his championing of the U.S. space program. He also made significant contributions to civil rights, advocating for equality and proposing legislation to guarantee equal access to public facilities and end segregation. Number 36. Lyndon Baines Johnson. Lyndon Baines Johnson, also known as LBJ, was the 36th President of the United States, serving from 1963 to 1969. He became president after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, under whom he had served as the 37th vice president from 1961 to 1963. As president, Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, the most comprehensive civil rights legislation since Reconstruction, into law. He also greatly expanded American involvement in the Vietnam War despite national opposition. Number 37. Richard Milhous Nixon. Richard Milhous Nixon was the 37th President of the United States, serving from 1969 until his resignation in 1974. A member of the Republican Party, he previously served as the 36th Vice President under President Dwight Eisenhower from 1953 to 1961, and also as a representative and senator from California. Richard Nixon's presidency was marked by significant events. He oversaw the Vietnam War's reduction, initiated détente with both the Soviet Union and China, witnessed the Apollo 11 moon landing, and established environmental protections. However, his presidency also ended abruptly due to the Watergate scandal, which led to his resignation and pardon by Vice President Gerald Ford. Number 38. Gerald Rudolph Ford. Gerald Rudolph Ford was an American politician and lawyer who served as the 38th President of the United States from 1974 to 1977. After becoming U.S. President, Gerald Ford announced a conditional amnesty program for those who had evaded the draft or deserted during the Vietnam War. Controversially, he pardoned former President Richard Milhous Nixon on September 8, 1974. Number 39. James Earl Carter. James Earl Carter was an American politician and humanitarian who served as the 39th President of the United States from 1977 to 1981. A member of the Democratic Party, Carter served from 1971 to 1975 as the 76th Governor of Georgia and from 1963 to 1967 in the Georgia State Senate. As president, Carter pardoned all Vietnam draft evaders and negotiated major foreign policy agreements, including the Camp David Accords, the Panama Canal Treaties, and the second round of strategic arms limitation talks, and he established diplomatic relations with China. Number 40. Ronald Wilson Reagan. Ronald Wilson Reagan was an American politician and actor who served as the 40th President of the United States from 1981 to 1989. He was a member of the Republican Party and became an important figure in the American conservative movement. His presidency is known as the Reagan era. Ronald Reagan is largely credited with the demise of Soviet communism during the 1980s. As president, he worked to reduce the threat of war between the U.S. and the USSR to convince Soviet leaders that cooperation with the U.S. would serve Soviet interests, and to encourage openness and democracy in the USSR. Number 41. George Herbert Walker Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush was the 41st President of the United States, serving from 1989 to 1993, a member of the Republican Party. He also served as the 43rd Vice President from 1981 to 1989 under Ronald Reagan, and previously in various other federal positions. Bush is known for his foreign policy accomplishments, including the Gulf War, the reunification of Germany, and the North American Free Trade Agreement or NAFTA. He is also remembered for breaking his "no new taxes" pledge, and for the economic recession of the late 1980s and early 1990s. Number 42. Bill Clinton. William Jefferson Clinton or Bill Clinton is an American politician and lawyer who was the 42nd President of the United States from 1993 to 2001. A member of the Democratic Party, he previously served as the governor of Arkansas from 1979 to 1981, and again from 1983 to 1992. Bill Clinton is famous for his presidency, during which he oversaw a period of economic prosperity and enacted significant legislation, like NAFTA and welfare reform. He also faced a highly publicized scandal involving his personal conduct, ultimately leading to his impeachment. His foreign policy included interventions in Bosnia and Kosovo and calls for NATO expansion. Number 43. George Walker Bush. George Walker Bush is an American politician and businessman who was the 43rd President of the United States from 2001 to 2009. George W. Bush initiated what he called the War on Terrorism, portrayed as an American-led global counterterrorism campaign, launched in response to the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. Included were the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. Also, his administration sponsored reforms of Medicare and the U.S. education system. Number 44. Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein Obama is an American politician who was the 44th President of the United States from 2009 to 2017. A member of the Democratic Party, he was the first and only African American president in American history. He oversaw the recovery of the U.S. economy from the Great Recession of 2008 to 2009 and the enactment of landmark healthcare reform. In 2009, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Number 45. Donald John Trump. Donald Trump is an American politician, media personality, and businessman who is the 45th and 47th President of the United States. A member of the Republican Party, he served as the 45th President from 2017 to 2021. His time as president was marked by several policy initiatives, including tax cuts, efforts to reduce regulations, and a focus on trade. He also faced challenges during his presidency, including the COVID-19 pandemic and several natural disasters. Number 46. Joseph Robinette Biden. Joseph Robinette Biden, or Joe Biden, is an American politician who was the 46th President of the United States from 2021 to 2025. A member of the Democratic Party, he served as the 47th Vice President from 2009 to 2017 under President Barack Obama, and represented Delaware in the U.S. Senate from 1973 to 2009. He is also known for his role in drafting and passing the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act and the Violence Against Women Act. Number 47. Donald John Trump. Donald Trump is an American politician, media personality, and businessman who is the 47th President of the United States. Donald Trump's second and current tenure as the President of the United States began upon his inauguration as the 47th President on January 20, 2025.